Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm on my way to Idle over there. We're following the road, but I wanted to stop and make this video because for the first time I can see the mountains that I have yet to cross. I can see them right there in the distance. Let me flip your view, but I'll give you the story first, and then I'll flip your view. Um, Basically, so when you're walking, you're going kind of slow compared to the terrain, and so sometimes you see mountains in the distance and you're staring at them for days, day after day after day, and you're like, gosh, when am I going to reach those damn mountains? And it's like way on the edge of your sight, and they're gray in the distance and you can't make them out, but kind of loom over you, and you kind of think to yourself, shit, one day I got to cross those things, and they're like up in the clouds and you can't see the top of them. But then you realize that, like, if I'm gonna cross those, I'm gonna have to go over that, and I'm gonna have to climb those darn mountains. Well, anyway, I'm just about to be able to see them. They're actually, the first details are coming clear. So as we walk a little bit, we'll get closer, and we'll actually be able to see the mountains I've been staring at, and I'm afraid to go over. So we talked about the road and the route I'm taking, and where we're going with this and everything. And I've been sticking with the eastern coast. That was like, my friends have. Let me just show you the area. Give you a nice view. Yeah, there we go. Now we're talking, baby. Look at this place. As we walk through fields of gold. Okay, don't judge my singing. I'll work on it. Okay, so the original inspiration for this came from, like, Reddit, I guess. Do you guys have heard about the road to Magadan? The infamous, supposed longest walkable route in the world? Well, every time you see that, like, meme, I've never been able to actually see the map. The map is, like, obscured, it's a globe, but I never actually could see a close-up image of the theoretical road to Magadan. And so the best I can do is, I'm not necessarily doing that, by the way. Somebody sent me that road to Magadan, which is from Cape Town to Magadan, Russia, and it's some ridiculous amount of miles in distance, and it's supposedly equivalent to, like, hiking Everest 14 times or some ridiculous thing. And I, of course, when I saw that, I was like, yeah, I would totally do that. But then I was like, no, actually, realistically, I would never do that. Come on, I don't need to do that. I don't need to have anything to prove. I don't have, I have no desire necessarily to climb Everest. I'm not a climber. That's not my thing, right? So I'm not trying to put my foot on every continent and climb every hill. That's not who I am. I'm just trying to appreciate the world and the places I can go, right? So anyway, my point is, what the hell is my point? Oh yeah, someone sent me this thing to Magadan, Russia. And I was like, well, first you'd have to walk across Africa, and that alone is its own challenge, right? And I started imagining what that alone would be like. And I was like, man, that would be so great. That would be the best adventure of all time. How could you can't top that. I can't think of anything cooler. So that's what I've been saying, and that's how I feel about it. So that's when I was like, that worm got in my brain, and I thought about it for years. And I told my friends, and they all said, don't do it. And my friends know me, and they're like, no. You'll do it without thinking it through, and you'll get yourself hurt, you freaking idiot. That's kind of what my friend said to me in the beginning. And I was like, well, thanks. What I'm hearing you say is that you care about me, and you wanted me to make sure I'm safe. So as long as I'm safe, we're good, That's kind of the deal I have with my friends. And when I told my folks, I was expecting them to be like, oh my God, no, why? What do you got to do this for? Try to talk me out of it. Like, when I get me out of it, they're like, no, blah, 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 here's why. Eddie, oh my gosh, you're going to, let me show you the blood stain on the ground that's still there. You know what I mean? Like, jeez, So, but they didn't talk me out of this one, going to Africa. They kind of were just like, yeah, makes sense for you. It's pretty nuts. I hope you're not, freaking being stupid, And I'm not. I'm doing my best. Sometimes I feel like I could do better. But anyway, I'm doing my best. So, I had a point. So anyway, this is all inspired by the road to Magadan. And I was trying to say that I don't really feel compelled, like I need to do that. But when I thought about walking across Africa, I couldn't shake it, and it sounded like a great adventure. So I started looking up the road, and the shortest distance, you know, is normally going to be a straight shot. And Google can make a map for you, or you can use the computer's AI to create a walking route, or you could follow the, if you could figure out, I don't know how to do it myself, but if you could actually trace the official Road to Magadan path, that whatever the Reddit thing it made, if you could follow that exactly, the shortest distance is the way to go. But it's going to take you through deserts and mountains. It's going to take you through what it thinks is the shortest route, but to humans is not necessarily friendly. For instance, elevation is hard to walk distance. It's hard to go up and down mountains. So I don't know if the route's the best, but here's where I'm going with all this. I met this guy last night, and he's one of these like old soldier types. You ever like see a movie where Indiana Jones goes into a bar and he meets some like old soldier who's like, Royal Air Force, reporting for duty, sir. Oh, you need a pilot? Oh, I'm just your man. You know, and he's like drunk on whiskey or whatever. So I happened to meet one of these types last night, and he gave me a list of phone numbers for people to contact for when I get to certain places. Oh, when you get to Tanzania, you must call my friend. When you get to this other place, you must call this other guy. Let me give you these numbers. And he gave me all these phone numbers. And he says, you just tell him, I don't want to give his name, but I'll tell you later in the show, in the story later on, when it becomes relevant. But he's like, yeah, you just tell him I sent you. So I met this guy, and he told me about the Cecil B. Rhodes Railway. So Cecil B. Rhodes was once, during his time, the richest man in the world, and he founded the university here in Cape Town. So people talk about him. He's famous for his own things, some controversial and some whatever. Some people, you know how it is to any of these richest men in the world types and the legacies that they leave, but they do make an impact. Well, anyway, this guy, in his plan to build a railroad, spent fortunes to determine the best route across Africa. And he hired all the local people and the experts, tell him where to go and what trails and what mountains, you know, and they spent in their time the equivalent of, you know, whatever, you know, huge amounts of money to choose the best route. And it goes relatively straight. And it happens to go through all the points that I was kind of wanting to go through in the first place, like Victoria Falls and certain towns. So I'm going to do some research on this Cecil B. Rhodes Railroad and this map. And I already kind of Googled it quickly, and I looked at the map, and the map kind of matches the road to Magadan, you know, the theoretical shortest route, or it's actually theoretically the longest route in the world. But it's like, anyway, my point is, before I was talking about going the East Coast, but I'm thinking about going straight. Straight means through the desert. Straight means through the mountains. Straight means through very difficult terrains with big distances in between towns. So there's advantages and disadvantages to this. But if I go on the railroad route, it'll be relatively straight and it'll be relatively flat. I say relative to the terrain. The railroad would already have chosen the best possible path for the kind of terrain we're in. So the railroad route would be a really cool adventure to follow that way and to take that road. Anyway, so that's what I'm thinking about doing. So pretty soon I'm gonna get to a town and I'm gonna go straight north instead of going mostly east. Right now I'm going north, 100% north. Anyway, just trying to tell you what I'm up to. I'm also trying to save some suspense to show you these mountains behind me, because like I said, I've been looking at them for days, and in a moment we're going to get to a point where we can see them quite clearly and we'll be able to make out all the details of the foothills, and it's the first time I'm going to see that, so I've been saving that for the end of this video, which might be soon actually. Might just turn around and show you now and keep it short. That might be the way to go. But let me get to the crest of this little hill here, and then I'll zoom in on the mountains. So that's what I'm thinking about. Just going straight to the mountains and the desert to find this railroad path. What do you guys think? What do you think? You know what I mean? Should I do it? Should I go the direct way? The crazy way? The hardcore? Ooh. That's the other thing that people say when I tell them what I'm doing. They go, you're nuts. You're freaking nuts. Like, maybe you're brave, maybe you're stupid, but either way, you're nuts. And it's like, I guess, yeah. It's hard to, it just makes me laugh, you know, because I don't think I'm nuts. So sometimes, actually, I kind of do. Sometimes I feel that way, like, this is nuts. I agree with that. This is nuts. What I'm doing is nuts. Walking across Africa is nuts. It's far, but it's not so much far as I'm, like, leaping, you know? Like, kind of like, every day is unknown. You know what I mean? I wake up in the morning and I just walk towards the horizon. You know, I walk towards these mountains. Let me show you these mountains. As I flip it. Skadoom. So you can kind of see that shadow on the horizon. That's where I'm headed. This is my road. The mountains and the clouds. Can you see the mountains? You can see the light hitting the foothills a little bit. Yeah. That's where I'm headed. That's what's up, you know? That's what's up, those mountains. Anyway, yeah, it's kind of nuts. On the other side of the mountains is a desert called the Karoo. Oh, geez. Anyway. Okay, well, I just wanted to spend a few minutes with you guys and say thanks for being part of my channel and watching my show, and for subscribing and being part of this walk across Africa. Tell me in your comments if you think I should go through the mountains or if you think I should hug the coast a little longer. I know a lot of people think I should go along the coast for a bit, but it makes sense to kind of save some time and go straight through the middle. Time is always a factor. Anyway, I love you guys. I appreciate you. Aloha. Mucho aloha. That's how I like to say it. Okay. By a donkey. That means thank you in Afrikaans. See you later, alligator.